Giants fans, it's week 17. We made it. We actually made it through this freaking season. You're watching True Blue Review. Rich, congratulations. We're still alive. We're still alive. Out of all the heartache, all the headache, everything, we made it through the season. Fantastic.
It's been rough.
It has been.
I mean, for the Giants, really, this is like their worst season ever. They have more losses this year than they've ever had in the history of the Giants.
That's it.
Now,
That's
I know
they've had some 2-win seasons.
They had 14-game seasons and the 12-game seasons.
Right.
So, but this is the only season they've had so far in the history of the Giants where they've lost 13 games.
Right. Well, with that, why don't we start with another loser, the Cardinals game. And this is going to be really short. 23-0. Everybody looked pathetic.
I mean, it was just so boring. The game was so boring. After the Giants looked really good in the previous game, against the Eagles. I mean, I'm not saying they tanked that game, but I think they might have tanked it. I think they might have tanked that game. Because they just looked so bad. Like they weren't even trying.
It was, I don't know. It's hard to say that they weren't trying. It seemed, it was certainly, you could see Eli was putting the ball out there, but there were drops left and right. In fact, I don't know the numbers, and we'll have the numbers next week when we do our final season show. But they've had the most drops in the NFL this year. The receivers have. Granted, we lost our main receiving core early, but there were drops before that. So it's been one of those seasons.
Just terrible.
And I'm glad to say we can now put it behind us.
We're almost there.
You actually mentioned something about that Eagles game the week before, and that segues into the fact that the Giants have hired Dave Gettleman as the new general manager. No, that wasn't a difficult prediction, was it?
It seemed like the most logical choice, and then it ended up actually happening.
Marin Tisch liked to keep the Giants close to the vest. He was a Giant before, and he comes back as a Giant.
I think it's a good choice.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, actually, reading back on it, when Jerry Reese was made general manager, Dave Gettleman was up for that position as well. And I think they felt, to some extent, they owed it to him based on the time he had done before. We did review Gettleman a number of weeks back with the possibility that he would be hired as general manager. I wanted to review just one more time a little bit of his past with the Giants. Let me put my glasses on for this. He started with the Giants as a scout in 1998, moved himself through. He was with the Broncos and the Bills as well, and became a pro personnel director in 1999. He held that position through 2011. He stayed with the Giants in 2012 as senior pro personnel analyst, and then he was hired by the Panthers as general manager. As we know, he was instrumental in bringing the Panthers to a Super Bowl.
Of note, he was with the Giants through 3 Super Bowls.
That's
the
right.
One that they lost in 2000, and then the other 2 they won.
That's right.
Against the Pats.
And it actually should be noted that so this is his resume as far as championships go. 2-time Super Bowl champion. That's the years with the Giants. Correct?
Yeah.
And NFC champion 4 times, and 5-time AFC champion, including a Super Bowl championship under that as well.
Wow. So
So
he was with the Bills all that time. Okay.
So he brings a great resume. Like I said, I think it was fairly easy to make that decision.
Okay, then with Denver.
There were other guys out there that had a fine resume, but I mean, this is...
You know what, though? It says 97. Didn't Denver win the Super Bowl in 97?
I don't recall.
I thought they did.
I don't recall.
I totally thought they won the Super Bowl in 1997. They won 97 and 98, I thought.
Well, that's the Super Bowl championship that they have under here.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I see Super Bowl champion. I saw, all I was reading was 5 times AFC championship.
Yeah.
I didn't see that note under there. Because it says 2-time Super Bowl champion up here, and then it says Super Bowl champion down here. So, actually,
he's got it highlighted
he's
there.
3-time Super Bowl champion.
Correct.
Huh.
Correct. One under the AFC, 2 under
Right.
the NFC.
So 2 NFC, 1 A. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. It seems like wherever he's been, pretty good teams.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills, come on. 4 times in a row to Super Bowl. I don't
Sure.
care what people say about that team. That was a great team.
Right.
To do
Right.
it that many years in a row.
Right.
And of course, they didn't win the Super Bowls, but still. Then with Denver, then with the Giants, and then with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Seems like where this guy goes, he wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it looks like. I hope it is like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do.
One thing to note before we move forward is this past week it was brought out that Eli Apple has been suspended for the last game of the season, and it's something that isn't a surprise based on the way this season has gone for him. The one thing I would say about Eli Apple is I would say at least last year we thought he had a lot of talent. I still think he's talented. I think it's between the ears right now, and he's got a lot of things in his family that apparently he has to deal with. I hope he deals with that in the offseason, and if he's not with the Giants, he's with a good, solid team, and he takes that talent and puts it back out on the field.
I mean, the mental game is as important as the physical game.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, I for a young man that has so much potential, I feel for him. I don't think that any of this is intentional. I think he's lashing out at the people that are closest to him, which maybe isn't so much his family right now, but his teammates. And unfortunately, he's reaping the worst part of that, and that's it's unfortunate. So hopefully in this offseason he'll pull it together, get some.
Well, what's the definition of a champion? Is it just that you win, but it's also that when times get tough, you still win.
Yeah.
You still push forward.
Yeah, he's got some growing up to do.
You get knocked down, you get back up.
Right.
Period. So he's having a tough time in his personal life. There may be other people on the Giants or other teams having a tough time in their personal life, but you wouldn't know it.
Yeah,
You wouldn't know it.
that's right.
Because
They separate it.
Because the way their mind works, they're able to overcome and fight through it.
Right.
And it doesn't look like he's handling it as well, but it's maybe some growing pains. Maybe
Yeah.
he needs to come through, and maybe a new coach will be able to bring that out of him.
And certainly the GM. A GM that's got life experience. Certainly with Gettleman, 66 years old, he might be able to be a fatherly figure in a sense.
I think this is the part of coaching that people forget about. It's not just the game plan.
That's a great point.
It's the relationship you have with your players.
That's a great point.
It's very, very important.
So, and that really that point that you're making really emphasizes how poorly McAdoo was dealing with this team.
Absolutely.
I think the more we saw throughout this season, when times get rough, the cream comes to the top and all the shit falls to the bottom. And I think that he wasn't able to handle that properly. And certainly with Eli Apple, it didn't work out as they had hoped for, And I don't think McAdoo handled that as well as he probably and someone like a Parcells or a Belichick
He probably blew him off.
Yeah.
And it's not like you cry in their soup with them.
Right.
But there's an element there that helps them to overcome. Personally, I don't know what that is.
Right.
But I know that there are coaches that know how to bring it out of the player.
In many cases, and I even remember, growing up, being around people that played football. Whatever I played was irrelevant and short term, but they looked at their coach as a fatherly figure, and they went to their coach when they had troubles in their lives. And I don't know how approachable McAdoo actually was, and how maybe this young man was going to him for help, and he wasn't providing it. That's really something that I couldn't possibly speak about. But
it's a huge part of coaching.
Yeah,
huge
certainly. And we're going to bring that up a little bit later, because I really want some more of your insight on what you feel a solid head coach means to a team and what it takes to be a good head coach. What I really like to do now is just move forward into some of the head coaching candidates that are kind of these names that are being thrown out there all over the place. So I went through a number of different social media sites and went online and again, I found myself really gravitating more to NJ.com. Thank you guys. And they put out a list. Some of the guys on the list, I'm wondering where they came up with this idea. And there was one guy missing from this list that we'll talk about at the end of the list.
Surprise.
Probably what I would consider, and you probably would, the highest candidate.
Absolutely.
Nevertheless, they started off with Josh McDaniels. We talked about him before, offensive coordinator of the Patriots. It would be great.
I mean, he's already been a head coach, played with Denver, for a couple seasons. Did pretty good in Denver. Those were the years with what's his name, the quarterback. God, this is before Manning got there. Before Manning got there. Ah, shit, forget his name.
Yeah,
whatever. He's not in the league anymore.
Yeah,
it's killing me that I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but anyway. I think that he became a head coach maybe a little bit early because he got those couple years at Denver.
Right.
I think he realized he had more to learn, and now he's back under Belichick's wing and has been for like 5 or 6 seasons. So
yeah.
Tebow.
Oh,
Tim
that's
Tebow.
Right. Yeah, Tim Tebow. That's right. It was the Tebow years.
Right.
And one more thing to note, as we spoke about before, when we did go to the Rams, and he was offensive coordinator under Spags. Under Spags. The second one that was listed, and these, by the way, these I don't believe are listed in priority. They're just names that are listed. The next one, a bit of surprise to me, and I'd like to just walk away from the name myself, but maybe you can give me a little more insight, is Eagles defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. He's been a head coach.
He has. Detroit.
Yeah, on Detroit.
He's a fiery dude.
Yeah.
But he is, in my mind, a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's not a head coach.
Are we looking for a defensive coordinator is the question, right? I don't know. Yeah, I think I just don't. I remember when he was a head coach with the Lions, and if I'm not mistaken, they went to the playoffs one year.
Maybe a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think he was there for like 5 years.
Obviously, he didn't stay a head coach, and there's a reason behind it. And you and I talked the other day about it. I'm not really interested in heavy retreads here. I'd like to see somebody like Josh McDaniels has had his foot in it. He's been tutored by the best. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit different than guys who have been doing it before and they keep having to take a step back. But, maybe it's not too different.
I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not totally against Jim Schwartz.
Okay.
I'm not. Detroit is a losing team.
Yeah.
We can't forget that Belichick was with the Browns for 4 years.
That's true.
And
the Jets.
Yeah, they didn't win. Was with the Jets. I think he was with the Jets for like one season. And the next season he started with the Jets, and then he got offered the job by Robert Kraft and moved over.
Yeah.
So him and Parcells kind of bounced back and forth between the Jets and the Patriots. Mm-hmm. I'm not totally against Jim Schwartz. I'll tell you one thing about Jim Schwartz. The dude's got some fire.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
I know that about him. I mean, he's a guy that will. He's a little bit of a fighter. So I'm not totally against him, but I don't know enough about him.
Yeah. Well, it's worthy of keeping an eye out for it. Again, there are so many names in this pot that we're going to throw these out there. There may be some more coming in later on. The next one is Chiefs special teams coordinator Dave Tobe.
I don't even know this guy.
Yeah, very little do I know about him, but one interesting thing in reading this information on him and what we looked into is Harbaugh was also special teams coordinator under Andy Reid, and he turned out okay. A little quirky guy, but he's another one with fire.
He's definitely good.
If they're throwing his name in there, if they're throwing Dave Tobe's name in there, I guess there's reason behind it. We'd have to see. He's never been a head coach before. Maybe he'll get into the get into the thin list on this. Moving forward, Spags. We talked about Spags. I think Spags sealed the deal the last couple weeks, especially last week. I don't see him as head coach. They will interview him. I
don't know if he wants to be head coach.
I don't know that he does either. Yeah. Actually, I think that's a really good point. Would he like to stay with the Giants?
That is definitely one of the things that you need in a head coach. You need a guy that wants to be a head coach.
Not we want you to be. Yeah, he has to want to have the position.
You're not doing it for the money.
Right.
Because a lot of guys become a head coach. Why? Well, they get an offer and they're like, I can go a couple of years, make a few $million more. Why not?
Right.
Right. But is their heart really in it? Do they really have that, that edge to really be a head coach and have longevity in the NFL? It's hard to say sometimes.
Right. Next one is Mike Smith, defensive coordinator of the Falcons. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. How's the defense doing on the Falcons this year?
Was Mike Smith the guy that was the Falcons head coach?
Yes. And he was runner-up to McAdoo. Now he's defensive coordinator, and based on what they have here and what we looked at, defense is not ranked very well. They're ranked 31st in the league right now. So
I was never a fan of Mike Smith's. I mean, he did bring Atlanta to Super Bowl, I do believe, one year.
Lions defensive coordinator Terrell Austin.
I don't know him.
Yeah, no, I don't either. If you have any information you want to pass on to our page about that, please do. I don't see it. I think it's a name that they threw in there.
I mean, the thing is, you got all these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them, you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know. Maybe there's something there.
Oh, now here's an interesting one that I hadn't considered. Steelers offensive coordinator Tom Haley.
Yeah.
I mean, Steelers offense is solid. Now, granted, they got a great quarterback.
I think he's been
great receivers.
He's been with the Steelers for a little bit too, hasn't he?
Yep.
I know his
young
name.
guy, 50 years old, and he seems to have a good rapport with his players. So that's a possibility. He started his career with Bill Parcells in the Jets.
Interesting.
But I mean, really, why would that matter, right? He was under Parcells, so I guess maybe he got a little juice from him. Who knows? So next one, Vikings offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur. That has been tossed around quite a bit. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait till end of the season and find out about that.
He's done a lot with. I mean, the coach is so defensive minded there, but they've put points on the board, and they went through some challenges with quarterback.
Right. He was head coach of the Browns too.
For as good of a head coach you can have, if you don't have a good quarterback, it's a challenge.
Yeah. And he's done a good job. I mean, look at the Vikings. Really?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Because Bridgewater got knocked out, and then
Keenum's in.
Keenum was in, Case Keenum, but they also had the other kid that was a high draft pick. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'll think of it in 2 minutes and I'll yell it out.
Yeah, I don't have my head in them. So we talked about defensive coordinator Matt Patricia from the Patriots. Possibility, never been a head coach before. Very much a leader. He's just got a thing about him, And he's a rocket scientist. Who doesn't want a rocket scientist around him, right? Yeah. Bill Callahan, offensive line coach of the Redskins. Well, if we need an offensive line built, you want to bring an offensive line coach. And quite honestly, the Redskins have a pretty solid, when they were healthy, a pretty solid offensive line. That's really, pretty much it. 61 years old. He was with the Raiders before. So, I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes. I want to keep moving through. There's a lot of names here.
Sam Bradford.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Sam Bradford, that's right. There, we got it out of the way. That's in relation to the Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah. They threw down here offensive coordinator Mike Sullivan. I don't know. Have we been impressed?
No.
With the Giants, offensive coordinator with the Giants, obviously. No. Okay, so
their offense needs to get revamped. Quite frankly, I hope he's gone.
So here's a retread. But it's a name they threw in there, John Fox.
John Fox has had a pretty decent career as a head coach, and he's brought a couple teams to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Hasn't won a Super Bowl.
Right.
But
he did have some heart problems, health problems. I don't know if he can handle the.
That's
you
not
know
great.
what?
That's
It's different
not great.
being Carolina, Denver, and Chicago. He was with the Giants as a defensive coordinator, so he knows New York. That's a positive on his side. I've always kind of liked him. He does have some fire. I don't know. I haven't really paid much attention to him with the Bears, and after he had his health issues and stuff like that, I'm not sure. I don't know if he's still got that fire or not.
He's a good guy.
You know, but yeah.
I think he would be okay.
Yeah. Like
Maybe
I said,
not my first choice, but in the right circumstance,
right.
the possibilities are there. I mean, he brought 2 different teams to a Super Bowl. That's quite an accomplishment.
It is.
You know, even if he lost them, it's quite an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to do that.
Yep. The next one they have listed is Texans coach Bill O'Brien.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't either. There you go. And you know what? Now, by the way, they're not the only ones to say Bill O'Brien. Okay, so literally, I really looked around. And I said, okay, what are they coming up with? ESPN analyst John Gruden. He's been out 10 years.
Everybody says it about him and the guys, the old Steelers. Head coach. You know, everybody talks about those guys every year.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't want him. Honestly, I don't want him. Sexy name and everything. He's been out of the NFL 10 years.
It doesn't
he does
seem
have
like,
some fire.
In my mind, he doesn't want to coach.
Yeah.
If he did, he'd be coaching.
Yeah, they're saying that he thinks he's about gone as far as he can. He is 54 years old, so he's still young. He's gone about as far as he can with the ESPN. He's kind of worn that out. But I don't know. We'll see.
He's kind of become like the new John Madden to me.
He's a cliche.
You know?
Is he a cliche?
But he's one of those guys that's going to go down.
I might get in trouble.
He's going to go down. He's like, when you think of the NFL, you think of John Gruden.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He's like the new face of the NFL as far as these analysts.
Does he have a game yet?
He doesn't, but he's probably going to get one.
Like Gruden 2018 or something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But,
all right. All right. Stanford coach David Shaw. Okay.
I don't know college coaches.
Yeah.
You know,
tell us about him.
Very much.
Tell us about him. I looked up some stuff on him, but there wasn't anything that really stood out in my head that said, oh, we have to get this guy. Okay. Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelly.
Don't know him.
Brian Kelly's been around a while. He tends to be very difficult with the media.
I do know him.
Yeah.
But don't really know him. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I honestly, I don't see it. Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. We need a northerner.
First of all, he's going to cost too much. All right. And you know what? One thing, and it's noted in here, and we talked about it before, he's going to want full control over everything.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No, I can't. I don't like when guys say that. They want full control.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No.
All right, so there's one more in that actually NJ.com didn't have listed, but we are going to say it. Steve Wilkes.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not on the list.
Yeah.
To me, he's a top guy.
Exactly.
I mean, especially with Gettleman.
Yeah.
You know, and he's done great as a coordinator for
Carolina,
the Panthers.
Yeah.
You know, and being a head coach is like a next step for him. So I'm surprised he wasn't on the list. To me, he's the premier guy, like the guy that's.
Yeah, I mean, Gettleman knows him better than any of these other guys that we've listed on here.
Absolutely.
You know, it doesn't make him the best candidate, but the most likely candidate.
Yes.
The most likely candidate.
He, to me, is the most likely candidate.
Yeah. So if we're trying to read minds, I think that's the direction that we're going. But I did want to ask you, we've gone through all these head coaches here, and we talked even about McAdoo and the troubles with him. And, you know, you're even starting to read the book on Parcells, and we talked about Belichick. What does it take not only to be a good football coach, NFL football coach, but a good Giants football coach in the city of New York?
Right. So they're very scrutinized up there. The media is just hardcore, you know. Mm-hmm. So you need somebody to go with the media. And you know McAdoo did not have that. He was terrible with the media.
Right.
You know. Coughlin was pretty good. You know, Parcells was good. There's some other guys in between that were kind of questionable. But there's no doubt that we need a coach that's good with the media.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as a head coach is concerned, obviously you're looking for a guy that's good with his players, a guy that knows how to win, a guy that wants to be a head coach, a guy that's a good leader, and I think a guy that leads not the players but leads the coaches. Mm-hmm. That's what a head coach is. Yeah. He coaches the coaches to me.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's what a great head coach does. He knows how to delegate, doesn't want control over everything, can work within a team context, but knows what his responsibilities are.
Yeah, you were talking a little bit about Coughlin and Parcells. What was the quality that both of them had that made them such a great coach that we need now?
They were great disciplinarians. They were very good disciplinarians, and they were a little hardcore with their players, Now, some players fight that, but some players embrace it. I think that you need to get to the point where you embrace it. It's kind of like being a soldier.
Yeah.
If you're going to fight every little rule that's out there, you're not going to be a good soldier. But if you just get to the point that you can be a soldier and live that life and just fall in line, say yes, sir, just do what it takes, then you'll be a good soldier. I think that's typical for a football player as well. You got to be coachable.
Right.
Do you think you can't take criticism like. You got to take it like it's helping you to improve your game, not that you're doing bad, So you can't take it personal.
You think OBJ would fight that?
He might fight it.
Yeah.
But the right coach, I think, can get it under control enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think OBJ is too crazy. I don't think he's too crazy. It would be great if somebody could really harness that passion.
Right.
Because he has tremendous passion for the game. So if a coach could just harness it in the right direction, could he even be better than he's been? It's hard for him to be better than he's been. He's pretty good.
Well, based on what Gettleman talked about, I'm changing the subject a little bit, moving more into the player personnel type of situation. It sounds like Gettleman wants to keep Eli.
Okay.
He wants to work to keep him here. I'm going to now segue into the Redskin game coming up. Also, what we're both very happy about is the fact that they've activated Davis Webb.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say is that maybe that, even though that was done the day before Gettleman was offered the position, we know they were talking. I wouldn't be surprised if Gettleman said, I want you to activate this guy as soon as possible because I want to see him play. That wouldn't surprise me a bit. So we're talking about player personnel type decisions, drafts coming up, things of that nature. If he indeed wants to see Davis Webb play and we can see Davis Webb play this game, I like the direction he's going in. I think it's a piss poor idea for this guy not to be able to play, and all of a sudden you're going to make a decision on him after we gave away a pretty solid draft choice on Davis Webb. So I like the idea. For me, I like the idea of him maybe with the idea of keeping Eli on. I think you and I can both agree
if Eli has time left on the clock, he's a good quarterback. I mean, Is he not a good quarterback? I mean, he's a good quarterback.
He is a good quarterback. He needs a solid offensive line and a solid
proven
running game.
as well. And none of these guys that are in the draft are proven.
Right.
You can get a guy that's got all the measurables, you bring him onto the team, and he's a bust.
Yeah.
You get rid of Eli, and then you draft number 2 pick or whatever, and you get a bust. Man, would that be horrible? Oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be terrible.
So we'll see how Gettleman goes with not only his head coaching, but also with where he's going with the players themselves and the personnel.
Yeah, and on the note with Davis Webb, I'd like to see him play too. I hope he plays. I hope he plays in the second half.
I hope he does. And I hope he goes in there and lights it up.
I hope he plays for most of the game, to be honest with you. There's no reason for Eli to be in there and get hurt.
Not really.
Not at this point.
No.
There's no streak. What's the point? They fucked them up on that.
Yeah.
I know. What's the point?
I know.
So let's get Davis Webb in there. I'm totally for that.
So we're playing the Redskins this weekend. It's a no big deal game. I think one thing that we noted that we are anxious about is seeing Davis Webb play. The other thing, and again, it's like we've already busted all our bad records, so why not bust the last one, which is losing every game this season in the NFC East.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's a tough one to swallow.
It is.
It would be nice to have the last game of the season at Giants Stadium with a win.
Now that Kansas City's won a division, I almost wish the Giants lost that game so I don't have to worry about it.
But how about a setup like this? Davis Webb comes in the second half. The Giants are down. Davis Webb brings them back for the win. That segues into the 2018 season in a nice way. Now, it doesn't mean that Davis Webb would start, but what it does is it allows them to get a solid look at him, and that way we're not ditching everybody and going for a first-round draft pick with a quarterback like Josh Rosen or the other guy. I can't remember his name right now. Darnell. But anyway, we'll see. So, any thoughts on the Redskin game at all?
It's a hard – well, first of all, I think the Redskins want to win.
Yeah.
Because they want to end the season with an 8-8 record.
Yeah.
It's the Giants. They always want to beat the Giants.
Sure.
Because you got to play them next year twice.
Right.
But it's a big deal between the second and third pick.
And we're sitting in number 2 right now.
That's a big deal. So if the Giants win and the Colts lose, then the Giants will get the third pick.
Right.
So that's a big deal. So they got to be talking about that. I mean, the I don't know. I don't like tanking games, but in this case, it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, even if we're not using the number, even if we're not taking a pick at number 2, using that as trade bait is big.
That's huge.
Yeah, somebody wants somebody.
Any other team needs a quarterback.
Sure.
If what we don't know about Davis Webb is that this guy really can play, and Eli has another year or two. Look,
Right.
There's going to be more quarterbacks coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really hard decision.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with you. So in closing, what I do want to do is say next week we are doing a season wrap-up, but we are not wrapping up this show, okay? We have the draft coming up. We have head coaching news and more possibilities. We've got guys being waived. We've got guys being picked up. We've got the free agency market. We've got salary caps to review, so there's a lot coming up, and we're doing our homework right now. We're doing our homework. This is going to end up being the most exciting part of the season as far as I'm concerned. So
now that we're at this point, the offseason is definitely the most exciting thing that can happen with this
certainly
team.
Is. So with that in mind, stay tuned. Stay tuned with True Blue Review. Stick with us through this. We're working on an even better show next year. We're already thinking that far ahead. So we want to thank you guys for watching. We want to thank Sabrina. We want to thank Julie, Tin Cannon Beer. This guy, we're still trying to name this guy. There are some out there. There are some names coming in, but we haven't settled on one yet. So send us in, whatever you think we should call him. Anything else in closing?
That's it, man.
All right. Well, 2 days. It's going to be 2018. We wish you a happy and safe New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, prosperous New Year. Go Giants.
Go Giants. Thanks, Giants fans.
We're out.